My husband's flashlight. We're gonna go down there and just really check the status of the eggs and see what's going on, and then I'll come up with a game plan from that point on, or maybe we'll know what's gonna go on with them. Welcome guys, glad to see you guys back. I'm Casey with This Old Greenhouse Homestead, and it is a cloudy day here, but at least it's quit raining. We've had rain for the last couple days, and I did see on the forecast we were probably gonna have a couple more days of rain. Maybe, I don't know. We've had like a little bit of flash flooding, a lot of mud, a lot of water everywhere, but hopefully after these 2 days it's gonna clear up and be a little bit cheerier. We need a little bit of positivity around here. I have not been on here in 3 or 4 days. I've not filmed. We have had a lot going on. To be honest, I won't get into a whole lot of that, but in our county, our law enforcement has suffered a pretty big tragedy, and there's a lot going on. There's still a big manhunt going on for the suspects, so I'll just leave you guys with that and ask for your prayer. They would be highly, highly appreciated if you wanted to do that. So anyways, going to get back to a better note. I am going to head down to the chicken coop because I've not done too much around here. Like I said, I've not been filming a lot, and I've just been kind of doing the bare necessities outside. But I did get the chickens moved because I thought them being in the coop with the other chickens, and there was just a lot going on in that area and that space. I moved them out to a run, the ones that were sitting on eggs, the little cochins. I moved their eggs, and I put like a little makeshift wire area for them to go into that has like a burlap sack over it. They need a little coop inside there, and I'm going to be looking for something like that. I just wasn't able to get out last week. Their eggs are in it now, and they're sitting on them. And I'm thinking those eggs, some of them should have maybe been hatched by now or getting close. So I thought it would be a good time to really candle the eggs. So I got my husband's flashlight. We're going to go down there and just really check the status of the eggs and see what's going on, and then I'll come up with a game plan from that point on, or maybe we'll know what's going to go on with them. And then I've got to get back in the greenhouse, and I'll show you guys what's going on with all my seedlings and the tomato plants. My husband brought me some more containers to repot the rest of those, so I've got to get going with that. And we've had a lot of rain with all these crazy past days that's been going on. Maybe a couple more days of rain, and then hopefully the sun will come out. But that's just kind of the way it's been around here, a little gloomy. Now I'll tell you guys kind of what's happened with the chickens. They're all crazy right now because I moved them. 3 of them have broke Broody, and I've noticed the last several days that I've come down here, they keep kicking a few eggs out of this little area I've put them in, which something either tells me there's something wrong with the eggs, they're no good, they're not sitting on them. I really don't know. I've just moving them has kind of put them in a tailspin, but I kind of had to with what was going on in the chicken coop. I don't know. There's just, my head's kind of scrambling at the moment. I either had a choice to leave the cochins inside of there and move the bigger ones out to the run, which I could have done, and maybe I should have, and maybe I still will. Let's look at these eggs first. All right, so here's one of the eggs that they've kicked out. I'm really not sure why they've done that. That egg is no good, and that might be why they've done that. That egg is no good too. Okay, so maybe they know what they're doing. We'll get rid of those 2 eggs, and then I'll show you guys what's going on in here. So inside here is 3 Broodies, which I really need to check these eggs because they've been in here for about 3 days. Alright, so I'm gonna move their little cave and see what is going on with these girls. I know you're not gonna like this too well. Y'all are still pretty broody. You're gonna come after me. I know it. You've got to let me look at some of these eggs. They're nice and warm. I don't know. Let's check another one. That one definitely looks pretty good right there. Let's check another one. That one looks good too. I think y'all know what you're doing, so I'm going to put the eggs back under them. Make sure there's no baby chicks under here. No? Alright. Alright, so I'm just going to continue to let them sit. I've got to get some stuff for this coop. I've got to get some pine shavings. So I'm gonna try to go out maybe tomorrow and do that. Like I said, my husband's still working on getting a door. We just had a lot going on and things have just kind of been put on the back burner. So stuff happens sometimes, it just does. Another thought I had was to kind of open up the coop, just make it one big area and let that be for the Broodies and the Cochins, and then use this as my chicken coop area, and then have a little door here and let the big chickens be able to come out and kind of roam. So that was another thought that I had. I don't know. That also sounded like a pretty good idea to me, because that would make the inside a lot bigger for like a little nursery area and a Broody area. I don't know. Something I've been thinking about. I used to have little perches out there where they would sleep out in the run. They actually loved doing that. I had to make them go inside to sleep to train them to go in there. And some of my Cochins still just naturally sleep out in the run. So update of how everything is doing in here in the greenhouse and what my next step is here's my tomatoes. I've got beefsteak and San Marzanos, and I'm working on getting everybody transferred over into these big pots right here my husband brought home. And like I said, I think these are going to do me until springtime, until they're ready to go outside. And the tomatoes are just looking so good. This is one of my San Marzanos, and that's one of my beefsteaks. They look very similar. If I didn't have a tag in here, I wouldn't know which one is which, to be honest, until they start producing fruit. Then I've also got a bunch of fish water outside of my yard that I changed my aquarium a couple weeks ago, right after the snow, and I'm going to go ahead and water everything really good with that. And really, I'm going to keep my tomatoes watered at least every couple weeks with that fish water. Has all those nutrients in there, and keep them fertilized while they're in the greenhouse, because they're just sitting in this same soil for the next couple months. So I want to keep some fertilizer on them. If you're going to be growing something inside your greenhouse or inside your house under grow lights, you want to get something that's a light fertilizer, and you just read on the back of it, something good for tomatoes. Something I also will use like organic tomato tone. That's something I can use. You can look on the back to see what the recommendations are for seedlings and how often you can give that. But that's something I'm going to do. So over here in my propagation seedling area, I've got my petunias, and they're looking pretty good. I think it's probably due time for a little bit of fish water on these things. Oh, these things are past due of getting removed from here. It's time to get them in their little area, so I'll probably work on that today too. And I've moved these out because I'm fixing to water them really good. This is my celery and broccoli, which, I mean, look at that. That broccoli is looking really nice. Really super good. I've moved it up to where it's kind of sitting up a little bit higher to reach these lamps, because I have this tray right here, which is kind of not allowing me to bring these lights down a little bit further. I think I'm going to go to my local nursery one day this week if I can get a chance to get out. We've got a busy week coming ahead too, with a lot of stuff that's going on right now in the county. But I am going to look for a smaller top to go over here. They had some that were about half this size, which will allow me to bring my lights down a little bit closer. Like I said, these lights are not like sunlight, so you want to get them pretty close to the plant, and as the plant grows, you move them up a little bit, because eventually some plants can get what they call atoilated or leggy. That's just from not enough light. That's why a lot of times when they're ready, I will move them over here to prevent that from happening. But that's why it's good not to start too early if you're growing them inside the house and that's the only light they're going to be getting. So just kind of look at your frost dates and go on that. You really want to start your seedlings anywhere between that. I'll say 4, and I'll stretch it a little bit, 4 to 8 weeks before your first frost date. You can put them out. So depending on what zone you're in, like I'm 7A, so generally we're around mid-April. So I'm going to go outside and get some of this fish water and rainwater, because it has been raining, which rainwater is really good for a lot of plants. I have tropicals in there that just absolutely love rainwater. But you can see all this little fish poop that's left in here, and this is really good fertilizer, natural fertilizer for all of my plants. Have this nonstop all the time from just one 75-gallon aquariums. I I even used to have a little pond in the greenhouse. It was just a little stock tank that I got. Well, it was actually a good sized stock tank that I got from Tractor Supply, and I used to keep just a bunch of goldfish inside of it, and would dip into that water all the time to water my plants. And I may even at some point do that again. Now for the celery that I'm growing, it says plant and start 10 weeks before your outdoor planting date. And the planting dates here are March, April, and July for like a fall harvest. So probably next month it'll be time to put my celery into the ground. And with celery, you want to make sure it stays really good and watered, and you can put like compost and mulch around it to keep some of that moisture in. Now for the broccoli, it says to start 6 to 8 weeks indoors before you're fixing to transplant outside. So that puts me here again, March on the broccoli. It is more of a cooler crop. And you want to cut the buds on this before they open up for a better tasting crop. But it's looking pretty good. Hopefully it'll be okay in here another month before we get ready to put it outside. Broccoli is 90 days to harvest, but the celery is 125. So it takes a little bit longer on it. So I'm going to feed my marigolds a little bit of that fish water. Y'all, I'm going to tell you my plan too that I've got. I've got another idea for the flower garden. My trellis here, y'all saw in some of my previous videos, I took the hummingbird vine off, which it was beautiful. It really was, but it's something I had to remove every fall, winter. And it's a lot. It just keeps winding itself back and forth, and it reseeds a lot. And I really didn't want it to start reseeding everywhere in my flower garden because, you know, the flowers, obviously the seeds get blown around. And I don't want it to be on my fence and just take it over my whole flower garden. So I decided not to plant that again. And I'm thinking about doing some roses, some climbing roses. Now, I don't know a lot about roses. The only roses that I do have is my knockout rose bush. It was my great-grandmother's, and when she passed, I got it. And I have propagated it, and I've got another start going somewhere else by my mailbox. But I'm looking for a variety that's hardy and something that I can, you know, allow to put on that to climb, and it just be so beautiful. I think it would be really pretty. And my husband also mentioned at some point making me like a little trellis entryway to my flower garden, and I might put something like that there. But I've got to learn some stuff about roses. If y'all have any, you know, recommendations, put them in the comments. I would love to hear that. And I may need to figure out how to prune them and just different things. So that's something that I might be looking for pretty soon when they start putting that kind of stuff out locally. I'm starting to get kind of low on my coffee filters. So tomorrow I'm going to have to go out and find me some. I may even be able to run to the dollar store and get some. My husband thinks I'm a little crazy for planting all these tomato plants, but some will go to friends and family, and I usually give some to my neighbor. Now this one has 2 tomatoes together. I didn't separate them earlier. And I could probably go ahead and separate them now and just make 2 plants out of these. And I'm going to water these with my fish water too. So next thing on the agenda is getting some of these petunias out of here that need to be separated and putting them in some of these individual pots. And these are probably some of the ones that I'm going to keep to decorate up in my front yard. These are going to be really pretty. And I'm actually not sure what color they're going to be, so that's going to be a surprise. And some of these, if you leave them in there, they'll just continue to get choked out because they're up underneath all these bigger ones. They're just kind of competing for nutrients, so that's why I want to get these separated. I'll just make a little hole to put these in. Got these transferred. A couple of them I put 2 in if they were really small, because these are bigger pots. And I got some more fish water from outside, and I'm gonna water these with that too. One more flat. Try to get the rest of these petunias in here, and then I'm gonna take just a little bit of a break. If you just kind of rub the soil, they'll just kind of break up very easily without having to damage the roots at all. And here again, if y'all haven't seen my previous videos, if y'all are wondering why I've done it this way, why I broadcasted a whole bunch of them in each pot like that, that was because I wanted to germinate them under my heat mats, and I wanted to be able to germinate a bunch of them under my heat mats. If I would have put them in separate little things, I would have had to have a lot of space and a lot of heat mats. This way I germinated a big amount into a small area under 2 heat mats, and now I'm separating them, and they won't need heat mats now because they're already up. Alright guys, I'm finished. I got another flat of petunias and more to go. I have planted a lot, but I'll be glad in the springtime when they're all starting to bloom and all that good stuff. Alright, I hope to see you guys pretty soon here again this week, and I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed Sunday. See you later.